Good afternoon, everyone. It's Master Jose Torres coming to you live with the Martial Arts Experience. We have an amazing show planned for you today. And this is actually a historic show because this is the first time that we're actually going to interview our first couple, martial arts couple, actors, superstars, legendary people. We are absolutely excited to have them on the show today. So they're very busy. They fly all over the world, so I do not want to hold them up. We're going to bring them on. Our special guest is Mr. Justin Ortiz and Jewelianna Ramos Ortiz. How are you guys? How's everybody?
Hey,
doing great. How are y'all?
Good to see you. Good. So you guys just got back, right? You guys had a big training camp you just did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were just out in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. We went to a few martial arts schools out there and we taught a few seminars. We helped with community events and we did our stunt seminar or a stunt workshop, which is a lot of fun. Gets the community and the martial artists to see that there is a future in this, which I'm sure we'll talk a ton about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what do you guys, so like, I know we had a scheduling thing, right? As far as going on, don't you guys have something coming up very soon, right? Do you have something next week that you guys are doing or no?
Yes, we'll be flying to Sarasota, Florida. We'll be shooting a film out there. I will actually be acting as well as stunt coordinating. And she is the lead actress on this.
I'm the lead on it.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's awesome. So let's start out for my viewers. Obviously, I know you guys are internationally known in the martial arts community. But again, tell us how you guys, how did your martial arts career started? Obviously, you guys are world champions, but let's start first with Justin. Justin, what got you into martial arts, and then we'll go with Jewelianna. So Justin, what first brought you to the whole karate world?
Oh man! As soon as I was walking, I was kicking. My dad was my instructor in Shotokan karate, and I remember for my 3rd birthday, he gave me a white uniform, and my first ever lesson is he put my leg on top of a couch and he said, "Hold it there, do not move." I left the room. Wow. Here I am shaking. I'm 3 years old and I'm about to cry, and he's like, "You better not cry." And I was like,
"Blood sport style."
Yeah, it was blood sport style for sure. And he was a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, and little known fact, my middle name is Giles, named after Street Fighter Giles. Man played. So needless to say, I was born to be a kicker. Awesome. But at 3 years old is when I started, and he was a big fighter himself. He was a national champion.
Wow.
But just never had the opportunity to really take it far. But it was not me. It was me and my brothers and my sister, and we loved it. But I took it super serious, and I wanted to take it really far. And I kept training until I was blue in the face, till I was like dizzy.
Yeah.
Took it around the world from there. But yeah, it was 3 years old when I started, and it's because of my dad.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now I got to tell you though, before we switch on to Jewelianna's Shotokan, that's a Japanese tradition. There's no flipping and no tricking in that.
So no, not at all.
How did you start to go to that world?
So when I moved to Florida, I was 18. I was like, I need to leave Boston because I was born and raised in the projects, and I was like, I need to have a different life, and I wanted to not have to look like behind my shoulder all the time, and I just wanted a different change of lifestyle. So I was like, I'm going to move to Florida. I went to Florida for college, and it was when I went to Florida, I was experiencing different styles and learning from different people, and really broadening my knowledge in martial arts, and I loved it. And I was like, I need to know more. And so I was like, anything that's martial arts involved, I have to try to learn. So I saw people tricking and in Taekwondo, and I was like, let me learn some Taekwondo. I learned Goju-Ryu and all these different styles, and grappling, judo, and jiu-jitsu, and tricking wasn't always like big, for me in my dojo growing up, or just in general. Like, it was creative forms and everything was popular, but tricking was just like kind of, how do we say, like it was a surface level. Like it was just being known, just starting to get known, and it was just started to get its own category. So I was like, oh yeah, I could do some flips and some spins and some kicks. So little did I know, just me looking at things and trying things out, I was like, I didn't know I was learning tricking, but later on I see these people tricking, I'm like, yeah, I can do that too. But it was just really watching that this is it's a part of the martial arts, and then YouTubing it, learning, watching, asking questions to people, and just trying to, broadening my knowledge more and more and more. And then that's how I started tricking and doing other stuff with weapons and creative form. Name it.
Wow, that's awesome. Jewelianna, how did you get involved with martial arts? What's your story?
Similar to Justin's, I was basically kicking since I was in the womb. My parents owned a karate school in Hialeah.
Wait, stop. Wait, so your dad got you in and your parents got you in too?
Mm-hmm.
Such a Latino thing. That's such a Latino thing.
And
right?
The best part is my parents, obviously this is much later on when we were traveling and competing, but they're the ones that introduced me to Justin. My mom introduced me to Justin at Diamond Nationals and was like, hey, this is Justin Ortiz, and we're trying to bring him out to teach a seminar at our karate school. And that's how we met, and we almost instantly started dating. So
oh, wow.
Thank God for our parents, right?
Oh my God, that's such a great story. So I never knew the story. So I assumed like you guys met on tour, you were on the circuit, you guys started flirting, whatever. But so your parents hooked you up. Wow.
Pretty much. I mean, it was not the intention to hook us up, but like
it was an arranged. I got it. I know. I know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I started. So I started. My mom was pregnant with me when they had a karate school, and when I was 3 years old, I started legitimately in classes, and I loved it. When I was 5 years old, and I got into kindergarten, kindergarten peer pressure came along. And it was like, karate's for boys. You can't do karate. Ew, she does karate. And I was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? And then it was dance, gymnastics, cheerleading, belly dance, like everything you could think that was girly, I tried to do, or I asked my parents to put me in it. And I was good at it because of the martial arts, but I didn't love it. So when I was 8 years old, my dad was like, hey, this Saturday morning, I'm going to go train at your uncle's karate school. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, yes. And when I went, I fell in love all over again, but it was a different type of love. Like I knew this was my passion and it's all I wanted to do. I was bitten by the karate bug and I had karate fever. If you would have let me sleep in that karate school, I would have. Well, not karate school. It was a dojang because I came up in Junri style Taekwondo.
I was going to ask that. What your sister? Wow. So Korean stylist. Okay.
Yeah.
So Japanese and Korean. Look at this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And it's really cool that, I grew up in that style and he grew up, Japanese, because when we did start competing and we started dating, it was really good for especially my growth, that our open circuit was really starting to love Japanese forms. And I, as a Korean stylist, was all of a sudden like, what's going on? Why are the scores like this? Right. He was helping to, give me that inside touch. Like, hey, here's Japanese way to do things. And I learned so much, and it really helped me as a martial artist grow and learn where the roots of things came from. And
yeah. I mean, the game has definitely changed, because again, the traditionalists with the open now, obviously NASCA and all those things, it's really changed it. But it's funny as a Korean stylist, because that's what I am as well. The syncopation of the Japanese forms is night and day between, what we do as Korean stylists. And I think that's right. That's the biggest difference. If Korean stylists use the same syncopation time in the Japanese, that would be problems, because I think our technical some stuff is just as nice, just as beautiful. But our timing
difficulty is there.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. All right. So since you guys are the first couple, let's change it. I just don't want to talk karate. I don't want to talk. So Justin, what about Jewelianna caught your eye that you're like, I got to be with this girl? And Jewelianna, I'm going to ask you the same thing. So Justin, what was it about her? Was it her kicks, her good looks? What was it?
Well, I mean, it got to be both, right? So the funny thing was, this is true story, and I tell it to everyone all the time. When we were at Diamond Nationals, I just finished fighting. If anyone doesn't know a little bit about me, my nickname was Hotfoot. I was known for my kicking abilities, also known as like the King of Kicks at the time. And so then I hear up next is Jewelianna Ramos, the Queen of Kicks. Oh no, up next the Queen of Kicks, Jewelianna Ramos. And I was like, Queen of Kicks. And I stopped. I was like, and then my teammates are like, hey, Queen of Kicks. And I was like, we'll see. And I'm seeing her perform, and I was like, wow, she can kick. She is amazing, and she's beautiful. And I looked at them, I was like, she's gonna be my queen. And yeah, she became my queen.
Melted your heart. That was it. It was done.
That was it.
Awesome. Okay.
Love that first kick.
Love that first kick. I love it. I love it. Juliana, what about you? What I mean, besides his beautiful hair and smile, what really what caught you?
I will say something. When once we started dating, I started to put the pieces together, and I was like, wow, now that we're talking about that, actually, I do remember watching you fight, and I hated you because he would do all of these things. He just had this, he would turn on this really fighter persona that would get in other fighters' heads. And I didn't like it. I was like, he just thinks that he's hot shit and this and that. And I didn't like it at all. I was like, I don't like that guy. So I would turn away. Whenever I would see that uniform go up to fight, I would turn away. I would just keep walking, whatever the next division was.
Well, she said she would turn away. She was watching.
I remember watching certain parts and being like,
hey,
who is this guy? Like, who
watching?
Who even lets this guy fight? Look at him. And then we met, and I didn't realize that was him from the fights. And it was his humor that got me. He made me laugh right out the gate. He was making fun of me because I had glasses on when we met. My contacts had scratched my eye on the flight over. Yeah. And so I was carrying a book, and I had these thick, like Coke bottle glasses, and he started making fun of me right out the rip. And I was like, this guy's funny. I can get with that. So
meanwhile, I had a huge bandage on my head because I got cut right on my
during his fight. Yeah.
During my fight. So like I'm making fun of her with me looking like that. So.
I was roasting him right back. I think we made each other laugh, and
that's awesome. And how long have you guys been married now?
8 years together, 5 years married.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, see, that was good. You didn't hesitate, Justin. You said it right away, because after the interview, she's going to ask you, like, yo, why did you delay? That was awesome. Good job for you, Justin.
Stay on point.
You're learning. I love it.
I mean, I made sure we started dating on the 15th.
October 15th.
October 15th. I got engaged to her on the 14th, and I got 14th. Married on the 13th. So I made sure that if I miss one day, I can make it up. I got 2 more days to make it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys, no kids, right? No kids, anything? Dogs, anything? Dogs?
We have a dog, yes.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's a Jack Russell and Dachshund mix. He was actually a karate puppy, one of the karate families that we used to train with. They accidentally had a litter, and they came to open mat when Justin was fighting one night, and they were like, look at him. And he had one blue eye, one brown eye. And while Justin was fighting, I called him over, and I was like, oh, look. And he was like, no, we're not getting a dog. And then he looked over, and Nightwing showed his little blue eye, and he turned it, tried to do this with his little paw, and Justin was like, oh, fine, we can keep him. And he turned around and just kept fighting. And I was like, yeah. So we got him. His name is Nightwing because we are really big DC fans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, that was one of the things that we had in common. I used to collect the comics, and I knew a lot about the universe, and he was like, cool.
No way.
Yeah, he's a big Batman fan, and so was I. And so
I am Batman.
Mm-hmm. Our little sidekick is Nightwing.
That's awesome. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk about. So obviously, you guys had competed with your schools and your teams. I know Justin, right? Justin, you were on Team Paul Mitchell. Juliana, were you on Team Paul Mitchell as well?
No, I was on Team Dojo, sponsored by Taco Bell.
Okay. So tell me about your team. How long were you, Juliana first? How long were you on that team, and where did that take you?
I think 3 years I was on Team Dojo. I was really passionate about the people and the mission that we had. It was also our team that it was the pro team where we were managing schools. So it was a really tight-knit community. Josh Horwidge was just really a good-hearted leader for us, and he wanted to help me get as far as I could. I was the only forms girl on the team. Everybody else was fighters, and they all ended up being a feeder system for Paul Mitchell. So the Devin, Kitana, they ended up on Paul Mitchell now. And so I retired still on Team Dojo, and that was a great experience. I'd been competing since I was 8 years old, and I had been on other teams before that. But the family camaraderie that I had while on Team Dojo, and like when we would room together and getting to train together, was a phenomenal experience.
Awesome. Justin, how was your story with getting on Team Paul Mitchell?
Oh, let's see. It starts when I was 15. When I was 15, I was fighting adults with Team Mass Mall, which is owned by Gerald Dawson, the late great Gerald Dawson. God rest his soul. He was an extraordinary man, extraordinary fighter, and he believed in me. And I was at a tournament that actually Mafia Holloway was there.
Oh, wow.
And he spotted me. He was like, Gerald, you need this guy on our team, and which was obviously a blessing, especially coming from Mafia Holloway, an amazing kicker.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we need you fighting adults. And so here I am at 15, fighting adults, making some noise. But in the NASCAR circuit, I had to fight my age group. So I was beating all the kids. So when I moved to Florida, I had no team. And this was my only opportunity to travel and go places, because I was like, I was poor, so I had no money.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to go to this tournament. I'm going to see like what happens, and we'll see. All right. So I'm going to this tournament, and it's a Blitz tournament, the first ever Blitz state championship. I had no idea. And it was Jeremy Roque. He's a promoter out there. He's a great fighter out in Florida. And he was like, hey man, just come to my tournament for free. Just fight. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. Because, we got together and trained some. He was like, yeah, come and fight. So I come and fight, and, I'm doing really well. And then I was like, hey, come back later tonight. It's the overall grand championship. And I was like, okay, cool.
Awesome.
And then a man named, I don't know, you probably know him, Peter Lende.
Okay.
Yeah, Peter Lende comes up. He goes, hey, man, I want to talk to you about something. And he's like, I have this team that we're bringing back, Team Macho. We haven't had Team Macho in a long time. We want to bring it back, and we want you to be on the team. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. So, here I am, first tournament, and I'm like, boom, here's a uniform, here's everything. They gave it to me right away, and I'm like, I'm going to fight in the grands with this. And I won the overall grand championship with that on.
Awesome.
And because of that, started making noise again. And like shortly right after, I get a call from Mike Conroy, who was the head of Team Full Circle. And he's like, hey, Justin, this is Mike. Would you like to be on Team Full Circle? And I was like, would I? Team Full Circle at the time was the number one team.
Oh, yeah.
They were beating Paul Mitchell. They were beating like teams from around the world. Great competitors, amazing people, great coaches, and one amazing man named Tom Kelly, who did so much for me. And a year goes by, I'm on this team, and I'm making noise again. And I was supposed to get on Paul Mitchell when I was like 16, because they wanted me for forms and fighting, and I was going to be the first ever junior to be on Paul Mitchell for fighting.
Okay.
But that never happened. And then when I turned 18, I didn't hear anything. And so here I am talking to the coaches, and they're like, hey, we see you on Full Circle. You have a change of heart. I go, well, no one told me anything. No one contacted me. No one said anything. And I was like, this is the only opportunity I got, so I took it.
Right.
And they're like, well, if you have a change of heart, it's fine. But your name was going around. I was like, well, it was always a dream of mine to be on Paul Mitchell. Right. And Chris Rappel, one of the coaches, was like, don't tell me that. I'll make some calls. And I was like, well, I'm not saying I will leave Full Circle, but he was like, no, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. And then so he goes back. He makes some calls. I get a call from him. He's like, hey, your name is going around. They want you on Paul Mitchell. And I was like, oh, super cool. And they were like, but the only thing is you'll be on a partial sponsorship. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm on a full sponsorship with Full Circle. Tom is Mr. Kelly is being an amazing man. He's given me everything. I can't leave him for anything less. Right. And even then, so I will be going to less, because it is beyond full sponsorship with this man. He treats me like a son. I was like, I'm leaving because I know the network and opportunity that I'm going to get through Paul Mitchell.
Right.
And it's always been a dream of mine. I was like, but I can't leave for something over partial sponsorship. He's like, all right, well, I'll make a call. We'll see. As soon as he hanged up, I was like, man, I lost my opportunity, but it's okay. It was there. Then I get a call back an hour later. Hey, they said okay with a full sponsorship. I was like, oh, what? That's amazing. And I knew it was going to be a big deal because as soon as I got on Paul Mitchell, the amount of people that were calling, texting, congratulating me, the doors that are opening, the opportunities with Century, all that stuff started happening right away. Awesome. But that was at the end of 2012 that I got on Paul Mitchell.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Funny story with teams. Actually, after Justin and I were married, we were just talking, basically having this conversation like, wow, you remember when we ended up on like teams and like all of our experiences? And I was like, yeah, I remember I went to this one tournament and when I was on Team Macho, and he was like, wait, I was on Team Macho at that tournament. Yeah. So we were teammates for like
a week
or something like that. And we like had cross paths, didn't even really know each other. And then he ended up on Full Circle and I stayed on Macho a little longer. But awesome. It's cool like having like even just all these crossovers where we didn't even know we had been in each other's lives until it was meant to be.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. So now, Jewelianna, how did you get involved in the movie industry? How did you get involved?
Actually,
so should I go to him then and have him go?
Basically, yeah, because I would have to tell you his story to tell you how.
All right, go ahead, Justin. I'm trying to go back and forth, so I was trying.
We have a great friend named Christopher York. He's also a martial artist, but he's out of Florida. He was out of Florida, and he's been doing stunts for like probably 12 years now. He's an amazing person, knows a lot, but he was like, hey man, you ever thought about doing stunts and stuff? Like, you see what I do? Like, it's fun. It's super fun. And like, you should do it. And I was like, I didn't really know much about the world, but I was like so heavily involved in my karate world and traveling and doing seminars. I was like, I'm building my business. I'm like, I got my karate thing. I'm super good. Like, that's your thing. You have my thing. And then I went to Orlando. We helped create this like fight choreography a little bit. And I was like, this is actually kind of fun. He's like, I'm telling you, you should do it. You will love it. He's like, as martial artists, you have an advantage. You just have to learn the ins and outs of fighting on camera and just all about the industry. Like, if you learn a little bit more, you will do really good. And I was like, okay, yeah. And he said the same thing to Jules. You'll do really good. We're like, yeah. So fast forward, here we are in Atlanta, and I'm watching Cobra Kai, and I'm like, I need to be on that. I need to be on Cobra Kai. And then even some of my my instructors that were with me, they were like, you need to be on that show. Like, why aren't you on there? Like, they need you. And I was like, yeah. So we get a call. It's like, hey, there's Hiro Koda, who was a stunt coordinator at the time, is doing auditions for Cobra Kai. He needs real martial artists. And I was like, actually, that sounds really good. That sounds something that I can do. I don't have any stunt experience, but if they're getting martial artists, this could be my in.
Right.
And I looked at her. I was like, you want to do it? You want to try? And she was like, yeah, like, let's go for it. So we both went to the audition for Cobra Kai. And
this is for season 3.
This is
right. Because
it was like end of season 2. Like, they were during season 2, and yeah, they were going for season 3, right? And then, so sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. And we get to this audition. There's so many people, and we're like, oh, we don't know what we're doing. We're just here.
And like big time stunt performers, like people that are like in the industry are there.
Right. And some people showing up with their uniforms and stuff. And here we are showing up regular clothes. I have a picture of me in like the Paul Mitchell uniform, and this my like info.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I don't have any cred. I'm like, I don't have any
resumes.
Yeah. I was like, this is it. This is what I got. It was like, we'll see what happens. The first round was, hey, you're going to do 1 minute of an exhibition. You decide what you want to do, but you got a minute to show us what you have. You got to, say your name, height, weight, whatever on the camera, and then start, do whatever you want. And I was like, in our heads, we're like, they want martial artists, so let's show some tradition. And then right at the end, right at the second half, we're going to show some creative, extreme moves. And that's what we did. And they're like, if you call your numbers, you got to go home. And they called the numbers, half of them went home, and we're like, whoa, we're still here. Okay. And then they're like, all right, we want to see your best Rex. And we look at each other, what's a Rex? What's a Rex? And we're like, and then we're like, well, we'll see. And we're watching people go. We go, oh, break falls. Got it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's martial arts. We're like, break falls.
Break falls, yeah.
We can do. Rex, so I guess we just make it look ugly. Cool. We got it. So we went, we did our Rex. We did, we tried to make it a little bit creative as well. They called some numbers. Half of those people left. So like there's only a few people left, and us two are looking at each other like, okay, we're here.
Oh my God, we're in the...
And they're like, all right, we're going to take you to this room. You're going to learn this choreography, and then you're going to perform it in front of the stunt coordinator. And you only got like 15 minutes.
Wow.
So we learned this choreo. We performed at the end, and I remember after as soon as we got finished, they started clapping. They're like, yeah. And we were like, wow, okay. We got a good response. And we sat up and we're like, all right, so what do we hear from here? Are we going to hear you and you? We want you. Are we going to hear this? And they're like, all right, guys, go home. We'll call you if anything. We were like,
But we made it to the final round. So we were like, even if we don't get a call, that's a win. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's what she said. In my head, I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, what? You leave me hanging. And I'm going home and I'm like, did I do good? Did I do good? Like, I know I made it to, but like, did I do good?
Wow.
And then I didn't hear anything for weeks. My friend Chris, who was there with us and who was pushing us to do it, he got called to do a stunt acting gig on season 3 Cobra Kai. And I was like, awesome. I was like, I'm so proud of it. Yeah, this is awesome. But I didn't hear anything. And I'm like, man, maybe it wasn't the time. Maybe I wasn't ready. And then I get a text. And it said, hey, Hirokoro wants you for Ozark. And I was like, Ozark? No way. I was like, I didn't audition for that, but I'll take it. And my first ever job
was Ozark.
It wasn't even a low or modified budget. It was a
season finale
of Ozark. And I was like, this is so cool. I mean, I was one of the gunmen that kicked open the door, shot up the church. We're shooting blanks. Things are exploding all over the place. And I can remember like with my earbuds and I'm like, this is awesome. I take my shots. I take my reaction. I hit the wall. And of course, only like out of all that we shot, only 5 seconds gets shown. But the coolest first job ever. I mean, even when I tell like veterans, they're like, yeah, my first job was Ozark. They go, what? Your first ever stunt job was Ozark? I'm like, yeah. That's right. Awesome. After got called for Cobra Kai. And it was for season 3 Cobra Kai, and then it just kept going from there. But
wow.
Then,
so at the time, I had purple hair. It was my thing in the karate world because I love to stand out. Okay. I don't want to blend in. I want to stand out. I do all that I can to be unique. So I had this purple hair that was most me, and I was not willing to give it up. So I was kind of just like, I guess 1 foot in, 1 foot out on like getting into stunts or not. You know, we were doing really well in the martial arts business industry. We were just killing it for our age and the things that we were doing. We were making great money. And it was like, why switch careers and start over and do something that's freelance when we could just keep doing what we're doing? And then Chris's sensei down in Miami is also the biggest stunt coordinator in Florida, Juan Bofil. And he knew of me through the martial arts world, but Chris had also mentioned to him, like, yeah, Jules is kind of, training stunts. He was like, well, tell her I have a job for her in Miami, but only if she takes it seriously. Like if she like decides to do stunts. Mm-hmm. So Justin and Chris, sit me down at home and they're like, listen, if you're going to do this, you have to do it because it's not fair to the people that are really wanting to do this if you just are like, lackadaisical about it. So if you're going to do this for real, but there is an opportunity for you. And we think that if you got into stunts, like you would blow up. And I was like, I don't want to dye my hair to a normal color. I don't want to like stop making great money to just go freelance. And they were like, well, then don't take the job. And I was like, but I really, really, really want the job.
Right.
And so I decided that night, and I went down to Miami. I did what I had to do. I took the job. I did some training with him. I took the job and I loved it. immediately being on set. Justin later on got called for the same job, so he was water safety on it as well. So we got to work together. We're on a yacht in the middle of the ocean in Miami, my hometown. Like, what a great first job to get tafted on. And
what was that? What was the production?
it was for La Mujer de Mi Vida, which was a telenovela down in Miami.
Telemundo.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember being there and looking at Justin and being like, yeah, I made the right choice. Like,
Yeah.
I am going to do this for real. This is what I want to do. And from there, like, I thought,
the rest is history.
I thought it was going to be, that slow burn, steady climb to like, oh, when's my next job going to be? As soon as I got tafted, like that very same month, I had worked like another 2 jobs, and then I worked another job that, like, it was just steady from there. And then it was like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I got a stunt acting role. Like, Ryan Coogler himself, like, grabbed my headshot and said, I want her for this. And like, it was just big stuff started happening. Miss Marvel. So we were working on Marvel sets. I was getting stunt acting gigs. I was doubling like big actresses, and I didn't realize it was going to happen so quickly. So I had to retire from sport karate kind of on a whim. I was still growing, I was going for overalls, and I was, but I felt I had done everything that I had to do in sport karate, and it got me to where I needed to be, that I felt confident, retiring and leaving it there. We stepped out of managing the karate schools that we were, and happily got into stunts full time, and we've been doing it ever since.
It was funny because my best friend would, Chris, he would tell me, he was like, Justin, when you decide to do it, you're going to blow up. He was like, awesome. But the minute Jules does it, forget about you. She's gonna surpass us by a million miles. And he was right. He was right.
I have to say, right, the projects, because Jewelianna, you kind of just took off, and Justin, was yours more of a kind of a gradual or no? I mean, obviously you got big projects.
No, I mean, as far as what I've been doing with the amount of time, it has been a really fast increase. I think my trajectory was a little different because I've been fight coordinating and stunt coordinating projects, and then obviously we get the acting gigs and the stunt acting gigs. But she's been getting some really, really like back-to-back big gigs. Yeah. But also I've been fight coordinating, stunt coordinating, because that's like something that I want to get into anyways.
So you want to be more behind the camera, and then Jewelianna, you want to be more in front, like you like. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
I love
that's what he's that's what you were trying to say is like I got a lot more like public PR style stuff. Yes. And Justin's creative brain has led him to a lot of really great opportunities. They just don't get publicity. Yeah. And so we've both had really great exponential growth. But being that, I'm a woman of my height, weight, skill set, and ethnicity, there's not many of us. And so a lot of opportunities have come to me, whereas like a stunt man is a lot, it's a dime a dozen.
At my height, my weight, it's like there's a lot of them. So.
Exactly. And so Justin's been, growing really fast and had a lot of great opportunities, but it's completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But also
comparing apples to oranges.
I'm trying to trailblaze my own path because my goal is to be a director. I love creating. And we actually, I got a chance to direct a couple shorts recently. And so I enjoy saying I created that. Like I can put the pieces together to make that happen, whether it's through fight coordinating, through stunt coordinating, because I still able to put the pieces or to create this character or create this moment. Whereas like my friend Chris or her, they're like, I love performing. I love being in front. And I was like, so do I, but it doesn't give me as much blissfulness. Like if I can create a fight for her and make her look so good and create something that's like just amazing, that makes me go, yes, I did it. More than I did that fight.
But I think both of you, God has blessed you with two different things. Like, you're in the right position, Jewelianna. Let's be honest, size, weight, height, ethnicity, everything. So why not let it be you and run with it. And,
Right.
and Justin, the same thing, to be creative behind the scenes and help those, and the fact that it fulfills you to be like, hey, I want to create these things to make other people look good, because obviously you look amazing doing whatever you do, but to also have that creative side, that's special too. Like that's God given. Like he, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah, it all stems from the martial arts, and that's I think that's what makes me so excited about it, is that I use the eye of attention, the to detail,
yeah.
and the creative aspect that and the performance that comes from the martial arts, to this world, and it's going really well because I have that background, because I have that advantage, but I also learned about the industry, married it together to create the things I create. So that's why it excites me, because it's like, I'm still doing my passion on the martial arts, just in this avenue.
Right. Let's dive into Cobra Kai. So season 3, obviously. Now let's go into 4, 5, and then obviously 6, right? I mean, 6 is just explosion with you guys. If they didn't know who you were before, everybody knows who you are, right? But your involvement, because obviously stunt coordinators change from season 3 to where 6 is now.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about both of your experiences with season 4 and 5 before we go into 6.
So we weren't on season 4 and 5.
You guys didn't do any stunt stuff at
No,
all?
nothing on season 5. And part of that was because the change in coordinators. It was like, am I with this guy or am I with this guy? And I'm like, I'm with nobody. I'm just trying to get work right now. Someone hire me. So that there was just like a little miscommunication on that, but also too, like you said, it wasn't for us. It wasn't our time. It was meant for this moment, for season 6 to come back, not as stunt performers, but our own characters.
I thought that was amazing. Like I said, I mean, you guys blew it up, man. You guys blew it up. Like seriously, from the look, to the Spanish Hawk, to to everything that went on. Like it was a pleasure for me to meet you guys, obviously, but to see that and the way you weren't just stunt coordinators, you know what I mean, or stunt players. You guys had characters, and that was awesome. You know what I mean? That was really a cool thing that you guys. So how did it come about for season 6? How did you guys get involved? Let's start with Jewelianna. How'd that phone call go to get to part of season 6?
So funny enough, at my retirement tournament at AKA Warrior Cup, January 2021, Don Lee was there with Una, spectating, because he comes from sport karate as well. He's the fight coordinator of Cobra Kai, and he saw me compete on stage. And when we got off stage, I actually approached him and I was like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you know, but I'm in Atlanta doing stunts now. Can I email you my headshot and resume? And he was like, absolutely. Send me, text me your reel. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. So I did that. Didn't hear anything back. But later on, he tried to hire me for mayor of Kingstown, and I was already booked on another show. He was like, staying busy, huh? I'll get you next time. And then he met up with Justin
This was at Action Craft at the gym that I was coaching at. So a lot of actually the performers are in there. I coached them at this gym, and he saw me. He surprised everyone there, and we're training, and he was like, everyone lined like the coordinator there, Danny Boyer, and him were really good friends, and they're like, everyone line up, and all right, this station you're gonna do this, then you're gonna do this. I want to see this break fall. I want to see this reaction. I want to see this, and everyone's doing it, and I'm giving it my all, and he calls me and Ivan John, who was Kenny's stunt double, and he was like, hey, you two come out. And we're like, okay. And we come out, he's like, can you guys stay after this and run some choreo with me and create some fights? And we were like, would love to. Absolutely. And we did. And he was like, I need you guys. We're going to have an audition coming up, and I need you guys there. We were like, we'll be there. So it's funny because we didn't talk about it to each other. But here I am. I show up to this audition for season 6, and here she is sitting down and I was like, oh,
My husband was auditioning me.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, you're going to learn this fight from Ivan and Justin. They're going to show you what they want or what we want to see. And I was like, and it was really cool because we didn't know that. We were like, oh, that's a great honor. Like we created the fights. We're showing it and displaying it in front of everyone. And they're like, we want to see that.
Okay.
And so each and every one of them had to perform what we did. And then at the end, Jesse Haas was there, who doubled Johnny before for multiple seasons. And he's really good friends with Donnelly, and he was watching us, and he was like, yeah, this is awesome. And we had to perform all that choreo in front of Jesse Haas back to back to back, and we were just like, oh, all right, we're exhausted, but yeah, and everyone's just watching, but it's just hilarious though. Like we didn't know, like you're at the audition and here you are.
I've got
watching
work
me.
stuff to do. You've got work stuff to do today, and then we just ended up at the same place, and we were like, we're doing work stuff today, huh?
But he comes up to me, and Don comes up to me, goes, listen.
Comes up to both of us.
Well, this is before. I'm sorry. So this is before the audition. This was at the Action Craft gym, and he was like,
"This is
I'm visualizing like a almost villain, Spanish hawk, like Mexican hawk." And I go, I love it. And I was like, I love the character Hawk because in season 3 we hit it off really well, and he had great martial arts. Actually, he did phenomenal. I was like, he's really good. And I was like, I love it. Okay, cool. And he was like, can you do a Spanish accent? I did a Spanish accent for him. Can you act? I was like, no problem. I'm doing some lines for him. He goes, amazing. He was like, you're fighting, you can act, whatever. He's like, you have the look. He's like, I need you to get ripped by this date. And I'm like, I got you. So I was doing that, and then at the audition came up to both of us, kind of said it again to me, but then
he basically described Maria to me, and he was like, I see this character for both of you guys, and then you guys like team up with each other to go to get in Miyagi-Do's head, so that way you guys can win against them, or kind of like antagonists and stuff.
He's like, you flirt with the boys, and then you get in their head. And I was like,
and then she sends you in, and you beat them up, and
like,
you guys score
points. Makes sense.
And so he already had this vision for it that he was talking to us about. I want to say like 6 months before they even went into pre-production for season 6.
Wow.
So he had this in mind for a while. So when he called us and he was like, hey, we're starting to go into meetings for pre-production. Remember that stuff we had talked about? Like, the time is now. I already have the videos from like the choreography you guys had made from that stuff and from the auditions. Now I just want to pitch you guys as characters, not as doubles. So can I have you guys make like 2-minute martial arts documentaries? Just give us a background of like who you guys are and why they need you on their show. And so we played to those characters that he was already going to be pitching, and they created Maria and Diego. Then, yes, but the caveat was they were Portuguese, or they were Brazilian. They had Portuguese accents.
Well, at first, because he said Mexican hawk, he wanted the team be from Mexico,
right?
But then,
which made sense because at the time, at the time, UFC was like Mexican fighters started popping off.
Right.
We're like, okay, and I was like, I even got it. I was like, yeah, that makes sense because Mexico's huge in fighting right now. Like it's hot right now. That makes sense. And then all of a sudden we're Brazilian.
They wrote the World Championships to be in Rio de Janeiro, and so we were going to be the home team, and they were coming on our turf. So we had Brazilian accents. We had these Rio accents. Then Justin gets the call, and he's like,
no audition.
He gets
Nothing
the call,
needed.
and he's like, congratulations, man.
You got the part.
You're Diego, and you have lines, and you're this badass character and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're like celebrating. I'm like, yeah. I'm doing a happy dance while he's on the phone. We hang up. We like jump up and down. Yeah, we did it. And then I'm like, ooh, that means I'm going to be getting a call soon. So I'm like sitting there, holding my phone like, ooh, I'm going to get my call. I do. My phone rings. I pick up the phone, and he goes, hey, Jules, are you available to read today? And I go, Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I can read today. And he goes, okay, great. I'm going to send you your breakdown for your character. And if you can have that audition back in around like 6 p.m. today, that would be great. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. And I was like, oh, by the way, do you know how to do a Brazilian accent? And I was like, I will figure it out. There is YouTube.
Yeah.
I hang up and I look at Justin and I go, I have to audition for my role.
And I go, ha!
He starts making fun of me. And so I'm practicing, this Brazilian accent. I shoot my audition. I send it over. I don't hear anything for weeks.
Wow.
I am anxiety ridden. I don't sleep for 3 weeks. I don't eat for 3 weeks. I am rocking back and forth. I'm in fetal position. I can't do anything. I'm like, man, I want that more than anything. It's all I can think about.
I'm going around just drinking my protein shakes. And I'm Diego.
I just got to get ripped. I just got to get shredded.
Yeah.
So then I finally get the call and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, have you heard from production? And I go, no, I have not. This is the first call I get. I didn't want to bug you guys, if you have any updates, that would be great. And he goes, oh yeah, no, you got it. You booked it. You're Maria. When can you come in for your fitting? And I was like, oh my God, you guys couldn't have told me. Like nobody called me. I'm like losing my shit over here. And they're like, oh yeah, you booked it. And I was like, Jesus. So anyways, that's how we got our roles.
Wow. And then it manifested to what it is now. Because so at that time with the Maria character, did you know you were going to be dancing in the bar and doing your little? You knew that already.
The sides that they sent me to audition was like, Cody and Tim, and my name was, or Cody and Ted, and my name was not Maria. It was something else, and it said, get that like in Portuguese or a Brazilian accent thing. And then I like your jacket. It's so cute. And I was like, I can put it together. I know what the show is, but it was a breakdown, the same sides that they sent out in the national audition that they held with a ton of other actresses that also auditioned for this role because they didn't want to give up the code names so that they didn't know what show they were auditioning for.
Meanwhile, Diego was just for one guy.
For you, right? That's it. They didn't have nobody else. Listen, they didn't have.
But I beat out other people for
She did.
me.
That was amazing.
So
and then my lines get cut on the final.
Jewelianna, you obviously had more, right? You had more substantial role than he did.
Yes, she did. She really did.
But I auditioned for it, and I had anxiety for 3 weeks. So I feel like maybe I earned it.
So I got to tell you, it was funny. And I bring this up because obviously I was on set with you guys and I saw the fight rehearsals. Like Justin, you had some amazing fight sequences and they cut a lot of that stuff out. Like I didn't see like half of the stuff you did. Right. I remember because when I came home, I told some of my martial arts students, I was like, oh my God, I saw da-da-da-da. Wait till you see the fight this time around. All the fights are amazing. This new guy, I was so excited to meet both of you. And then when I saw the episode, I said, that's not what happened. I was there. Like, I know that they did. Wait, there's a whole nother section. Like, where the hell is it? You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, man.
And you remember how they made him do it like 20 times in the background so Sam LaRusso could talk to her dad, and we don't even see any of that fight.
I know. Listen, I was pissed off because there was a camera that came over me, and I know I had my 3 seconds of fame, and it got cut out. So I was pissed off myself. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It is what it is.
Dirty.
I didn't feel so bad, Justin. I said, well, Justin's a superstar. They cut all his shit, so that's fine. I'm just kidding. But you know what though? But obviously, the level of talent that they brought in for this last season. I mean, I know as a martial artist myself, I appreciated what I saw, right? Because I think that that's one of the things, and I know that's what sold Karate Kid in '84 because Ralph didn't, he didn't move the right way, he didn't do all those things. And that was like, if you were a karate person, you would comment, oh, how come they didn't get real karate people? They move terrible. Right. And when Cobra Kai first started, let's be honest, right? They didn't have that level of talent there. But what they brought out with you guys in season 6 was phenomenal. And I really think it was a beautiful way to kind of close that book. You know what I mean? Like they did a nice job. They really did. You guys were phenomenal.
I
Oh,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
coordinator Don Lee, stunt coordinator Ken Bearfield, you know, they put a lot of amazing pieces together to create a masterpiece. So they did awesome.
Yeah.
Big kudos to them.
And I will say they didn't have this ego like, oh, like I know best. They were so collaborative, and they really trusted the talent that they brought into the room. They asked questions. They were receptive to like, ooh, it would be cool because I learned this move and this is how we could use it. And oh, who do you guys recommend would be good for this role? They have to be able to do this kind of stuff. Like allowed martial artists to be martial artists and put other martial artists in the room. And it was a beautiful, it was a beautiful thing.
It was amazing to see that. And you know, because me personally, I'd never been on a, you know, production that scale. And like, it was crazy to watch the attention to detail. You know, they had you do, what was it, 20 takes on that one thing, like you said, with that stuff going on. But I remember, I want to say it was maybe 20 plus times for that damn hand clap. When they reshot it over and over, it was when they did that whole thing. I was there. I sat on the stage and was like this watching. It was when they did the hand clap with the tag team thing in the fighting.
And then they cut it.
Yes, they cut the whole thing. And I remember, oh my God, we're here for an hour and a half.
The handshake.
Our
handshake.
Our bad.
It was badass handshake, and it was. You know, even in our seminars, like this past weekend, we had a VIP event and everything, and
we
taught them how to do the Furia de Pantera handshake, and everyone was so excited about it. And I was like, man, why did they cut that? Because like, yeah, they got some really cool shots on it.
It didn't make no sense. I didn't understand that. It's funny. Let's talk about that. I think you mentioned just in another interview I saw, the fist. What's the background on that? That was something I heard you talk about that. Explain that. That was something you threw in, right? The two of you.
Yeah. So when she threw it in, she fought Una.
So on the day that I fought Una on the beam, Justin was working at the stunt dojo, like creating fights for the brawl. And so he wasn't on set with me, but when I knocked Una off, like it just felt right. Maria beating Devin in under 10 seconds. Like that's a win, you know? And I know it. And I held my hand up and they got that clip. And then when we went to do the tag team fight, Justin did that. And I remember coming up to him and being like, baby, yes, do that. Keep doing that because I did that in my fight. And it would be so cool if like we both did that as our character moments.
And I'm sitting there like, babe, you know that I do that on my fights all the time.
And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's why it felt right for me. Because when I was channeling like my inner fighter, that's what I did.
So like the background to that was like when I used to, when I was fighting for my point fighting rounds or even my kickboxing fights, I would always have my hand up like as I'm bowing to the competitor and look him in the eyes. Because what I was trying to tell them was that I already won. I already beat you. You lost to me before we even started. And like she said, like I had this persona because I'm a short person. I'm a small guy compared to some of these fighters, some of the best fighters out there. I was one of the few lightweights that will beat heavyweights. And I had to be very confident. In order to be confident, sometimes people can perceive that as cocky. But I was never trying to tear people down. I was just trying to get into their head so that I would have an easier time fighting them because I needed to do a lot being the smaller, shorter person. And so part of that was having that hand up. So I'm getting in their head. I get them either, you know, kind of nervous about like, no, this person's he's not going to beat me. But the fact that they said the word beat, I'm in your head already. Right. But also having that hand up sometimes got them, you know, I wouldn't say scared. It's more
confused, almost confused. Like thinking, like, then, what does this guy know that I don't?
Right, or they get confused, and when that happens, they get angry. And when they get angry, people start making mistakes a lot easier. And then I capitalize on those mistakes. So that was this, you know, psychology behind having that fist up before I fight.
That's awesome. And that's awesome. You guys were able to throw that into the
I threw that with Dimitri. Am I saying it right? Yeah. Threw that with Dimitri, and when I did it, you could see his reaction. He kind of like he was looking scared, and And they're like, okay, yeah, that's a good look. Let's do that again. He goes, no, that was real. I didn't expect him to do that, and I was afraid. And I was like, great. I wanted you to be afraid. I want you to feel that, because part of being on this team, Don Lee came up to us and I want you guys to be different. Like even the way we stand sometimes, or we're standing like this while everyone's just standing normal, was to show that we're a unit. And we're different than most people, and that we don't care what's going around. We have this different aura. We're trying to intimidate our opponents, and so that's that we brought that flavor to those characters.
That's awesome. Wow. Funny story. Was a friend of mine that sent me the casting for Cobra Kai. That's how I got on it. And the original thing that I put in for, they were still looking for the coach. For the Spanish coach at that time. That's originally what I put in for. And I think that I don't know if I went too late or whatever it was, but then the lady had called me and she was like, hey, that's already been filled, but would you want to be a judge? You know what I mean? But it's funny because that's how that came about. But I will say my prized possession for being on that set was getting to meet you guys, and I you guys. So I did save that, and I appreciate that.
I love that picture.
Yeah, that is a good picture.
Thank you. Now, real fast before we change topics, is Jewelianna, I caught this. Justin sent this as part of your guys' thing, and I want to know how come we did not see this kicking, like you hitting somebody in the air, and what happened? That was not part of the fight choreography. You could have done that to LaRusso. What happened?
I could have, but I got to follow the script. You know, at the end of the day, I just got to tell the story. Originally in that tag team fight, I was supposed to beat Sam, and then the writers came back with a rewrite, and they were like, hey, we just feel like, a total wipeout might be a little mean to people that really love and care about Miyagi does. So we'll let them score 1 point, and then the rest can be a wipeout. And I was like, I'll take one for the team. She can score a punch. And so
because it wasn't going to be Diego. I was gonna.
But also another thing that got cut from that fight, from the tag team fight, was Diego yelling at Maria for getting scored on.
Yeah. And
just showing that like winning really does mean everything to this team. And like we were serious. We were really like intense.
Yeah.
But
which is like the normal.
I didn't choreograph any jump kicks because I don't know if you saw, but they made us do like 20 plus takes of everything. Yeah. And I don't have control of what they use in the editing room. So I wanted to make sure that my choreography was stuff that was going to make me look good. Even if I had to do it 50 times, I know I can do this. And every single time I'm in control of how good it looks.
Yeah.
And so that's why we saw a lot of like my traditional and like multiple kicks. I had a few like intricate stuff in there, but I knew I could nail those. A jump kick, it relies a lot on your target. Like how close are they distancing wise? Are they going to be there every single time? How high, how low? And so just to make sure that I looked my best, I didn't choreograph anything that was too intricate.
That was smart though. Yeah, that was smart. And being there live, Justin, and seeing you doing your choreograph rack fall when he hits you and you go down, that was amazing. I mean, I was like, oh, because we were on the stage. Like when we saw that, I was like, oh my God. Like,
awesome, man. We just remember everyone went quiet. Like nobody clapped. Everyone was like, and I get up and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, you need another one? They're like, yeah, okay. But everyone was still quiet. And I'm like, why is everyone quiet?
Yeah.
But we wanted to, because we like, again, Quan and I fight. We were supposed to do something super intricate because we're like, we got these high level martial artists about to go at it. We got to create something dope. And me and Quan created something that was going to be extraordinary. And we were going back and forth doing all these stuff. And we're like, listen, we got to do it 20 times. We're going to do it 20 times because it's going to be insane.
Yeah. I remember seeing it when I saw the actual fight and then they cut away and this, and I'm like, oh man, there was so
that was even the fight that we had there was already
watered
down.
Yeah.
Because what we filmed at the stunt dojo, I'm telling, we were like
it was
flipping
like
all over the place,
long.
and it was 6 sections long. It was.
Now, did you know Brandon in your competition? Did you know Brandon from before or no?
Brandon
is a taekwondo stylist.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't do open circuit.
Right.
He didn't do the open circuit. Oh, I thought he did. He competed in something else, wasn't it? He did compete though. I thought I saw. No, am I wrong?
Maybe, but in Taekwondo tournaments.
Yeah.
Oh, not in NASCAR or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not NASCAR or any
Right
of those open sport martial arts events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, tremendous martial artist. But
Yeah.
the only thing is, we were like, listen, if you're gonna hit, I'm gonna give him the double 720 because he hasn't done that in film yet. I'm like, we're gonna do it. And I was like, and when I take this hit, I'm not gonna do a fancy wreck. I'm gonna do something that looks so impactful that makes everyone go, ooh.
And it highlights how strong Quan was,
Quan was,
which
yeah.
was our duty in those fights, in those semifinal fights, is to make Reina and Quan look extremely
Right.
intimidating because they were the people that like had to scare. They were the villains against
Right.
Robbie and Tori and whoever, right? So we had to make them look extra scary, and that's why we took the wrecks that we did. It's the reason why we choreographed things to be as impactful as they were, so that the score was as extreme as it was, to
Right.
show that even these high caliber martial artists they're getting danced around.
Right. Now, did you know Reina before filming, or no? That was the first time you met her.
We did know her like through Instagram, and I know she did ATA. She was big on the ATA circuit.
Yeah.
So we knew of her. We didn't really like get to know her until we saw the event. But it was funny because it's like, oh, we've seen each other plenty of times through Instagram. Like
through social media.
Cool. Now we got to finally see each other in person.
Right. Yeah.
It was nice.
And work together. Yeah. And it was really nice getting to know her character, because on social media, a lot of times, like, you lose that to just face value.
Right.
And like, I'm sure even the same thing happens with me, is like, I may come off a certain way on social media because you're just seeing pictures and videos of me being an intense martial artist, but like, I'm actually really goofy and silly, and I'm animated, and I talk a lot with my hands and my mouth and my face. And so it's kind of cool when people meet us and they're like, you know, I wasn't really expecting that from you. And it was the same thing with Reina. She was just so sweet and like kind to everyone. And it was like, oh, you know, it's not that I didn't expect that, but like, this is nice.
Right.
Real martial artists and real people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, she was posting up, obviously in the feeds and the algorithm, right? But she posts a lot. So if you're following martial arts, she tends to pop up somewhere in something. I remember when we had got to set and she had walked past, I said, wait a second, I've seen her for somewhere. How do I know her? And then I looked, I went, oh, she's, so yeah. But again, just bringing the level up of what they were trying to do for season 6 with you guys and with all the martial artists is a testament to what they were trying to do. And I really think it was a good way to kind of close the book on that. So we've hit the 1 hour mark. I feel like I'm going to have to do like a 5-part series with you guys because we could talk forever, but I do want to do this. What do you guys have? What are some upcoming projects that you could talk about? What do you guys got coming? Do you have seminars, tournament appearances? What can you tell our viewers about without getting in trouble? So Jewelianna, you first.
Well, the good news is that last year was such a fantastic time for us. We got to work on a lot of big projects together, Cobra Kai being one of them. But we also got to work on Superman, which comes out in 2025. And we also got to work on Peacemaker season 2. So both of those projects coming out in 2025, being big names in the DC universe, which we heard earlier we are big fans of.
Yeah.
And we got to work them together, which was the best part. So those are coming out. We also, Back in Action just recently came out. I had a little stunt acting role there where I was the stunt goalie at the end of the movie. And other than that, we're really making our rounds this year and trying to give back to the martial arts community as much as we can. Right. These last few years when we retired, it was because we were so busy building our name in this career path and, trying to become established stunt performers. But now that we're in a place where we have a little bit more, freedom with our time, we're not so tied down. We're trying to go to more NASCAR tournaments and create that open line of communication with the people that are the younger generation of martial artists that we competed with or are watching grow into these awesome categories, and know that you can ask us questions, that you can also do this, and you can also make time to give back when your time comes. And with that also comes the action stunt boot camp that we are doing at Century Martial Arts headquarters. It is, the first of its kind, really opening up those doors to the youth of creatives, artists, and athletes, and also adults, people that just want to learn about the techniques that we use on film, the tips and tricks on how to be a good stunt performer, and get out there and actually physically do it, get footage, and learn the next actionable steps you need to take to get started in this industry. And so it's a 3-day intense, 8-hour each day boot camp, learning all those things. It will include movement, fight choreo. It'll be wire work, parkour, all that stuff that we use as stunt performers. And then on the last day, you will also be doing classroom setting stuff. You will be learning a lot about the industry, how to submit, acting. They'll be doing an acting course,
auditioning,
and they'll learn about auditioning at home, how to properly self-tape so you don't, butcher your first few opportunities trying to learn how to do that. You'll learn how to self-tape properly at home, and you'll also learn how to do live auditions. And at the end of the 3rd day, there will be a live audition with a production company from LA that is looking for their next feature film.
That's awesome. And when is this? When is this camp?
July 25th to 27th at the Century Martial Arts headquarters in Oklahoma City.
And it's called Action Stunts Boot Camp. And you can find it on our social media. Our business's social media is martial.smart. So like martial arts, but martial smart, because we train smarter.
Awesome. Wow. That's amazing, guys. I mean, to have reached the level that you're at now already you're trying to give back is just an amazing thing. Because obviously you guys,
I know we can't talk about what we have coming up.
I'm leaving that up to you. Yeah. So for our viewers, because I haven't even announced a lot of the stuff with it yet. For our viewers, I said I was very blessed to meet Jewelianna and Justin on the set. And you guys, honestly, I've met a lot of celebrities. I've met a lot of martial arts people, and as well as I do, some people are very sweet. Some people are not so sweet. Some people are not nice. You guys were probably the most genuine people that I've met in a very, very long time. And I appreciate that very much. But, for our viewers, I will say I'm very blessed that, myself and Justin and Jewelianna, we're going to be able to work on a potential project coming up this summer. And I think it's going to make waves. I know it's, we got to start with small steps, but I'm really, really excited. And, again, that you guys would even be willing to work with me. So I really, really appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time. I know that this is time and energy on your part to create this experience for martial artists, to have a place to go and get news and hear content and get inspired and listen to different ways that they can also, grow in their martial arts and feed their passion. So thank you for doing this, especially for a sport that isn't super widely, it's not as popular as like football, those podcasts. This is making such a difference in our industry. So thank you for doing that for martial artists.
Thank you for creating another outlet for martial arts.
Thank you, guys. That means a lot. Thank you so much. For all of our viewers, guys, you guys were blessed today to have 2 amazing human beings, martial artists, champions, actors. We're going to have to work on Batman, Justin. Then, yes, you want to be the next Batman. So who's your favorite? Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Jewelianna, who's your favorite? Who is your dream? If you could be your character, who would you be? Wonder Woman? Yeah?
Elektra. As a female martial artist, I remember watching Elektra and finally feeling like I resonated with a superhero. And I feel like Elektra has been left to the wayside for a very long time. So if they do decide to do a revival and Jennifer Gardner would, pass me the torch, I would honorably take it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Elektra would be my dream. Yeah.
Manifestation is real. So
Absolutely.
if we speak it, it happens. So we're gonna do it here now. Then we're gonna make that Elektra is gonna happen, and then you're gonna be the star of it. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. For all of my viewers, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I do want to tell you, we had some people from Trinidad and Tobago log in today, all the way from Trinidad. I mentioned that. Remember,
is that Don Jacobs, people?
Professor Don Jacob in the house?
It is not. It is Vimal Shagu. He is part of another school, but he's actually a avid supporter of us.
Oh, well, hello.
His name is Vimal. You guys can say hello to Vimal.
Yes.
Hello, Vimal. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you, bud.
Awesome. Because obviously we're going to be hopefully doing some work there this summer. So, all of my viewers, thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys were as excited about today's show as I was. You guys were blessed. You heard some great things from both of these wonderful people. So thank you so much. Stay tuned to our next shows that we have. And do you guys have any final words you want to give to the viewers before you go?
Dream big and hustle harder.
Never give up your smile. Do things that make you happy.
Awesome. You guys heard it first. Thanks for joining us today. We hope everybody has a good rest of your week and catch us on the next show, guys. Be blessed and have a great night. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.